What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is SlammerIV, and I am very excited to be back with some replay casting of Littlewargame. This is going to be a ranked matchup between Therx in the bottom left, in the red trunks, against Hobo in the top right, in the blue. Very excited to bring you guys this video. So this is not going to be the latest balance patch because this will be played. I wonder if we can get the music on a little bit. This will be played. Oh, why is there no sound? There's some sound. Sorry, I'm distracting myself. But in general, this is played on the ranked patch, which is AA3, which is a little bit older. It makes priests a little bit beefier in general, but otherwise it's pretty similar. So, except the fact that Rax is really good, it's not too much different. But let's see how the players decide to play it out. We got Hobo going for some Rax here. Therx going for some Den. Some very standard one Rax, one Den stuff being thrown down. And yeah, let's see, both these players are some mid to high level players here. So it should be a pretty fun game. We've got a nice Raider opening from Hobo. Some pretty solid standard stuff. We got a Wolf Scout coming out from Therx, so he's gonna be able to scout out the timing of this second castle here, which is a little bit late for Therx. So already we can see a bit of a macro slick up. This worker should have been about 20 seconds earlier, but you know, can't criticize too much. It's going to give Hobo a slight economic advantage. And but Therx is going to have plenty of units. He has 3 wolves to deal with a single raider. Notice Hobo cut raider production in order to get the castle out a lot faster. So now he's been able to chase this whole raider down with his wolves and force kind of an early flash to the right. So Hobo got only a kind of a, indifferent, not a very amazing scout. Let's keep a track on those units tab because the worker counts are very important. It's 14 to 14. So very equal and pretty even game here. It looks like a small worker advantage for Hobo, possibly because he got that castle up significantly faster. And probably he just didn't miss any worker queues, slightly better than Therx. So that's going to give him a nice unit advantage and some gold advantage going into the mid game here, but still very, very equal game. Really no advantage to speak of for either player that is significant to talk about. We're going to be interested to see which player decides to take that third base first. Hobo looks like he's going for a bit of a shove, which is pretty scary to do when you only have 6 or 5 rack units. But it looks like he's going to try to kind of force out some units. Obviously, when you're playing a very greedy beast player, you can do some good execution. He's going to pick up a free snake kill here. So this is already going to be a little bit awkward for Therx to deal with, although he has a pretty decent count of wolf snake here. Unfortunately, he's not pumping out as much as he could from his den here, so he may be forced to cancel this, but he can probably dance around for long enough to make it so that this doesn't end up being too much of a problem. He's already gotten a lot of damage off on this one soldier, and these raiders don't have a ton of staying power, but they do have really nice kiting potential. So some pretty good micro from Hobo, but eventually he is going to get focused down and killed by this snake wolf force from our red beast player. But in general, I think Hobo is pretty fine with his trade. He's actually going to be able to get out with both his archers, which is really cool. I would have expected those to die, but he ended up only trading a couple units there. And he delayed this third base pretty significantly, and he knows that his third base timing is now pretty far ahead of Therx's. So all in all, this is a pretty comfortable game for Hobo, and I think he's going to be feeling pretty happy about his position right now. He's got his upgrades coming along. If we look at the tech for Therx, we can see the one big difference here is this dragon tech is very nice for Therx, and Hobo doesn't really have an answer to the dragon tech right now, but he also does have... because it feels like Therx was forced to cut some workers to get these dragons out fast enough. Obviously, he had to build a fortress, which takes quite a long time to build, and you can't build workers while that fortress is being produced. So, as a result, Therx is really low on workers. Like, his economy is really bad right now. I mean, you can see that he's down about 8 workers, which is pretty problematic if we're honest with ourselves right now. Like, this is very much Hobo's game to win at this point. He has really all the tools he needs. He's got his upgrades coming. He's getting a nice tower. This is a very good timing on the tower. I mean, maybe a little bit early, but he doesn't know like what's going on the other side of the map exactly. So I like the fact that he's getting these preemptive towers, shutting down any ideas of dragon. Obviously, I'd like to see some advanced workshop coming out around now, but that's not even something he necessarily needs super early because he already has the towers coming, and he kind of knows that his opponent's economy is a little bit hurting. Now Therx is slowly starting to get back into the driver's seat with his economy. He's still like really low on workers, but he's getting there. He's at 23, which is, I mean, that's barely full saturation on 2 bases because remember it's 12 workers per base, but he is able to split them up between 3 bases, so he's getting decent-ish money. Now this attack from Hobo is really scary, especially if these dragons get picked off early. So kind of unfortunate that the Therx was not paying attention as he walks across the map. He's got a nice count of Wolf Snake, but he's going to have to fight with dragons. If he has 4 dragons, looks like he doesn't have enough coming. Got a little bit supply blocked. 4 dragons, this army dies. But as it is, this Wolf Snake army is pretty strong. So it's going to be interesting to see how this engagement goes. Now, so these workers will die. He's going to probably pick off 3 or 4 of them in this engagement. However, the fact that the army from Hobo is now a little bit split and the archers are in front means this is a really good engagement for the beast to take, and Therx is going to take every advantage of that. Meanwhile, he did send his dragons across the map, but they're just going to die over there to that tower. Meanwhile, some nice micro from Hobo. He gets his army kind of backed away into a corner here. However, these snakes are doing really good work to kill the workers, but the wolf line is dying very, very quickly as these archers totally dice them up. Huge micro mistake from Therx. He moved his snakes away and they weren't firing for about 3 seconds there, and that made this fight go a lot worse than it had to be. I think if he had just pulled his not done that move, he would have actually done a lot better. But now that the dragons are here to fight, the dragons will kill all the archers or all the soldiers and stuff, and they should be able to quickly focus down most of these units. He just needs a couple more wolves in this army now, and he needs to run these dragons away. Definitely some poor micro here from Therx. He had the tools, I think, to win this fight, and looks like he's going to win this fight. But in general, that was a pretty not so amazing trade for our beast player, and I think that economy advantage from Hobo was really starting to tell. We can see he's already planning to take that 4th base, and he's going to lose these archers, but there's another wave of units here, and it's going to be unclear that Therx is going to be able to deal with this. He's going to lose a couple snakes, and he needs those snakes to meat shield for the rest of his forces. He does have a couple dragons coming, so he'll have about 4 or 5 dragons in a second, and there's really not too many reinforcements coming from Hobo, so I think eventually he'll be able to clean up this force, but the problem is he's down to 21 workers, so he never was able to really replace that economy, and he's facing a 38 worker economy from Hobo. So really there's not a whole lot of hope for our beast player, and he's unfortunately not really coordinating his 2 flanks particularly well, and I think this is going to be curtains for the beast player here. There doesn't look like there's a lot of opportunities for Therx to come back at this point. There's just too many of these strong Rax units in his face. Now, eventually, the meat shields of the dragons will allow the snakes to do DPS down these archers. But again, it's 23 workers to 38, which is never a really good sign. And the upgrades as well. Looks like we have double upgrades coming. So we already have 1-1 from Hobo, and we don't have any upgrades from Therx. So he's going to be up against about 4 upgrades with 0-0, and that's not going to end well at all for our brave beast player. Really nicely played game from Hobo. Definitely the entire game we just saw basically superior macro coming out. That nice little poke at the early game, and then a nice shove later on against kind of an unprepared Therx. Therx was very close to holding that more successfully, but he just kind of messed up his control in points, and at that point he was already pretty behind economy-wise, so it really was tough for him to come back. Now, if he gets a nice snipe on this forge, that could be a way of coming back. Now, this is kind of something he needs to do, because it's going to be very difficult to keep this fight up if he doesn't have those upgrades coming. But it looks like he will. Oh, is this going to complete? This is going to be so close. I think the upgrade's going to complete before the oh, that was so close. But that's not the break Therx needed, because the upgrade did complete. The +2 attack finishes before the forge was killed, and then he didn't target down the one that had about +3 coming. So that attack did absolutely nothing. And now this castle is dying really quickly, and I think Therx is trying to wait for his units to come in I think the castle's going to die before his units arrive. He was a little bit slow on the timing, kind of misjudged it, and now he's just going to have to take the fight anyway. And he's kind of just A-moving his units. Unfortunately, he walked his snakes in, so I lost a couple snakes just walking them into the middle of the soldiers there. That was kind of an unnecessary move, and it's going to basically call curtains, because even if he kills this force, which he will do eventually, there's no more archers left, so the dragons will clean him up. But even if he kills this force, the trade was very inefficient. He's up against a 4-base Rax player, so it's just going to be a matter for Hobo to keep hammering out the units and keep spending his money, which he's doing very well. And then these archers are just going to steamroll here. Interesting that we didn't see any advanced workshops coming out from our Rax player, but it doesn't really matter, because in this game he was able to just win with nice straight up shoving Rax style. So really a nice well played game from our Rax player. He doesn't have enough soldiers here, so these archers may all die. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. He's fighting basically 0-0 beast units, 1 base beast, and these archers all died kind of for free, but it really is only extending the inevitable demise of our long-suffering red beast player in this game. A nice win from the homeless individual Hobo. One wonders how perhaps he's playing at a library. That's very possible. So he definitely should sign up for the upcoming Littlewargame tournament, because there is on the order of $38 on the line. I think top 8 gets $8, so there is a tournament coming up, so he should definitely sign up for that. Get all that glorious Littlewargame esports money. That's why we all play this game, of course, is for the esports money. Let's be honest with ourselves for a second. If we had a moment of honesty and clarity, which is rare nowadays, in the world. So we're just watching the death rattle here. These archers are going to kill everything. And that is the game. GG. Well played. As we exit here and look at the gold disparity, we can see that Hobo had a lot of more money. And even though he was lower on the APM, it just shows that you don't need that much APM to crush your opponent with superior micro and macro. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. I will continue to crank out these Littlewargame videos. This was sent to me by replay, SlammerIV@gmail.com. You can always do that, or message me on Discord, and I'll love to grab those games and cast them. And I will catch you all later.